Hello, my friends, and welcome back to The Gun Show, which I'm eventually going to change to The Machinist Club because I want you to be a part of it. The Gun Show is way too much about me, and it also is confusing sometimes because people think it's about guns and muscles, and I don't have either of those. So, The Gun Show will probably change into The Machinist Club quite soon, but I have a fun guest with me today, and it's a topic that I think is very important. How many of you have heard about MEP? And although I'm on Carrie, who is my guest today, I'm on her LinkedIn, and it says, President and CEO of the American Small Manufacturers Coalition. We're not talking about that today, are we? We're talking MEP. Quick story from me, if it's okay with you, Carrie. And maybe for some of you folks out there, when you're listening to this podcast and you're already going, what's MEP? I was in your shoes up until recently when I realized just how damn important MEP is. And yes, from time to time, I do cuss on my podcast because it's that important. So I was in a machine shop many, many years. Carrie and I have talked about this. In consulting, many, many years. Carrie and I talked about this. On the media side, accidentally for a few years now. Up until just this year, Carrie, when something tragic looked like it was going to happen. And our friends Mike Payne and Paul Van Meter and a few others came together and said, let's get some loud voices in the industry to make some noise because MEP matters, is when I actually started to learn about it. I was doing a show for Prosper Machine Tools up in Dallas, Texas. I was having a bite of lunch. Mike Payne calls me and says, hey, Tony, I need your help. MEP's in trouble. I said, hey, Mike, I'm happy to help. What the hell's MEP? And that was how the conversation started. So today, Carrie, you and I get to take this opportunity to put it into a podcast. And for anyone who ever has a question about it, we can send them a link to this podcast so they can learn. You're the expert. You're talking today at ARMA, but you didn't bring any of your notes because this is raw and real.
Yes.
Yeah? All right, Carrie.
Very true.
Let's do this. Let's start with, what is MEP? What the heck is MEP? What it stands for, what it does, how it helps. What is MEP?
So here's the basics. MEP is called the Manufacturing Extension Partnership Program, and it is a program of the National Institute of Standards and Technology within the Department of Commerce. So it's a public-private program that basically helps manufacturers become more competitive. We go into factory floors, so we do technical assistance with manufacturers and are really specific to customize to their needs and what they need to help them be more competitive. So again, it's a public-private partnership that really helps manufacturers become more competitive, bottom line.
That's a little confusing and not at the same time. I mean, are you public or private? But you're both.
Well, we do get federal funding. So there's an office in all 50 states and Puerto Rico. They get partial federal funding, but the manufacturers themselves have to pay for the services they provide. So again, that gives them a little, skin in the game to make sure that we want to help you, but you need to be willing to help yourself to become more competitive.
And when this was brought to my attention, Carrie, and they were talking about yanking it, what happens if it gets yanked?
So if it gets yanked, basically the small manufacturers that we serve don't have the services that we provide in all 50 states and Puerto Rico, which is a shame. We really work with very small manufacturers. Under 500 is considered small by the government standards, but typically, which is large, right?
That's almost everybody.
That's really large. But typically we work with under 100 employees and really down to like 20 employees. That's kind of our sweet spot. So we work with really small manufacturers in all parts of the country, rural, areas of each state. So if the federal funding gets pulled for this program, we can't reach those rural manufacturers. And we have to start doing a little bit more, box services and not customizable to what the needs are. So that's what's really important. And those services won't be provided to those small manufacturers. And those are part of the big old global supply chain.
Manufacturing, in my opinion, for what it's worth, will not survive with shops less than 500 people across this country. It's a heartbeat.
No, exactly. I mean, that's why I love this job. I'm a paper pusher. I don't do anything, but they make things. They make cool things that people use in every aspect of their life, literally and I'm speaking to the audience that knows manufacturing, right? But you wake up on something manufactured, you put on things that are manufactured, you eat it, you drive it, you work with it. They are really what drives this country. And that's why I love to do what I do, which is advocate for them. So if these are the jobs in communities that really make those small communities go around, which in turn makes state economies and the national economy go as well.
Really important to understand. Let's break it down a tiny bit. And I think you may have mentioned it a little, but what do you bring to these companies to help them, these ones that are under 500? What do they actually receive?
Essentially a person. A person goes into the shop floor and says, what do you guys need to become more competitive? What are your challenges and how can we help you? So it is a person that literally goes there, sees their plant floor, understands their individual challenges, and they connect them with expertise that can help them. They sometimes can deliver services themselves, but if, say, I need a cybersecurity certification, we're going to help you get there. We may connect you with those that we know offer cybersecurity insurance. We can help you introduce robots and cobots to your facility because your workforce is low and you've got to increase your productivity. We can help introduce that to your plant, but it's not just selling you a product, it's integrating that into the systems that you already have, which is really customizable to your manufacturing facility.
So is this a little bit of consult? Is this a paid service that a shop needs to pay for? Or is this, okay,
yes,
describe
essentially
how that works.
So you said, is this consulting? It is consulting, but it's really technical assistance. So we're helping you, but we actually don't just hand you off. We actually see the project through. So again, we aren't just going to connect you with someone. We're going to see that project through, sometimes do it ourselves. So for example, a lot of manufacturers need lean, right? They just become more efficient, right? They've got to create those cost savings so they can invest in the improvements that they need. We'll go in and do the lean training for them, right? So they can find those cost savings and invest that. So it is consulting, but it is that technical assistance and they have to invest in it, right? It's, think about if you go to we're at a conference, right? If the lunch was free, how invested are you in going to the free lunch? Not so much because you didn't pay for it. But if you pay for it, you're a little bit more invested in its outcome. So we do ask manufacturers pay for these services.
I forget what language I'm about to tell you in, but I learned that free advice is never listened to.
Never listen to it,
You have to pay for the advice for it to have value.
And it keeps us honest, right? So if people aren't willing to pay for the services we provide, then it's not a service that they need, right? So, if you're not willing to pay for it and invest in it, then really, should I be offering it? Should I be providing it? So it actually helps these offices all around the country, keeps them honest and delivering what manufacturers need.
Yeah, how many people work within this system?
So
there are a lot of shops that are under 500, Carrie.
There are a lot. So we, across the country, the MEP National Network has about 1,400 staff. And again, all 50 states and Puerto Rico. We like to say we're 2 calls away from every manufacturer, sometimes within 4 to 6 hours of getting to every manufacturer in this country, small manufacturers. Wow. Yeah. And they're experts. So they too, a lot of them are actually retired manufacturing employees. So they've been on the shop floor. They know, how to operate. They know the challenges. So again, we're really involved in the communities. We're out there in the states, in the rural areas, because that's also important too, right? We need to know the region in which we're working, the challenges, the resources that are there. So they're all across the country, but 1,400 experts.
Hey there, manufacturers. Need to sell your surplus CNC machinery? Whether it's vertical machining centers, CNC lathes, or machines from top brands like Yazda, Matsur, or Watchon, let me introduce you to Revelation Machinery. If you've never worked with a used machinery dealer before, here's what you're missing. Selling equipment on your own can mean long waits, low offers, and lots of time chasing leads. Revelation Machinery changes the game, bringing nationwide exposure to your machines. Their team is located across the USA, so wherever you are, you've got a local expert on your side. Revelation doesn't just list your equipment, they use targeted marketing methods to get your machines in front of serious buyers. Revelation Machinery is committed to fair pricing, full transparency, and taking care of the details. From paperwork to logistics and even rigging if you need it, they're there every step of the way so you're not juggling any part of the process alone. Ready to let a trusted partner handle the heavy lifting? Head to revelationmachinery.com/The Gun Show to see how easy it is to turn that surplus machinery into cash with Revelation Machinery. I'm already thinking about how I can put in my resume to get the Puerto Rico territory.
Oh, been there. It's beautiful.
But, okay, more importantly than my joke is I think about a lot of rural communities in places, and I'm going to utilize some that are a bit more extreme than others, but I've been to places in the middle of South Dakota, in the middle of North Dakota, in the middle of Montana. These places aren't really known for manufacturing, but have several really great places and maybe don't have the time, the resources to find people help, or to go to trade shows, or to find out what that new technology or the next step might be to keep them competitive. This seems like a wonderful resource for these types of folks, right?
It is, and that's what differentiates this program from other, I'd say big consulting firms that are out there. I think one of the misnomers about this program was that we should really it should be privatized. Well, a lot of these bigger firms, they don't understand the needs of those that are out there in the community and the very small manufacturers that have a limited amount of employees that have to wear 5 or 10 hats and just don't know what they don't know. Right? They don't have the time to go out and get involved in the trade shows and see what's out there, but they can make a call and have the MEP center in their state come to them and show them. So instead of going to a trade show and seeing all the things, they can bring in this consultant that can say, hey, I need this, and they can show the limited amount of things that they need. So again, if I'm trying to increase my production line, can I bring in automation? Can I bring in a robot or a cobot to increase their efficiency? And not only can I bring it in, but I want to see that it works here before I invest in it. So that's the thing we can do, is actually bring it to them because they're so small and they've got to keep their eye on the ball in manufacturing what they're doing.
I started this thing off, Carrie, kind of conveying the message that I worked in machine shops and I should have known and I didn't know, and I worked in consultant and I should have known and I didn't know. Would you say that most people do know you, though, or do we have some work to do?
We have a lot of work to do.
Do we?
Yes, we are. Although we're a little program, we're very impactful. We serve 35,000 manufacturers a year, and those manufacturers basically create and retain $15 billion worth of sales.
Only.
Right?
Holy cow.
Right. So we're little, but we're really, really impactful. So yes, we have a lot of work to do in spreading the awareness of this program across the country.
Can I ask you a question? I really don't know if I'm supposed to ask. Is there competition to this? Do you have competition? This really feels like something we all need to know about. I've been into enough shops and walked in and gone, oh my gosh, I really need to help you. It's not my job. I'm going to say a few things, but you could use some consulting right now. You're so far behind. It feels like we really should do something about this.
We should. And, to your question, is there competition? No, because
No.
honestly, if there was competition, the government shouldn't be involved in it, right?
Right.
But what people will say the competition is the big 5 consulting firms, but they are really big and they're for-profit consulting firms. So they're focused on the bigger fish that can provide a lot more profit for them. And they can't really go down to the customizable level that we can to a small manufacturers because we're nonprofits, obviously.
So that's really the split, right?
It's
Is
a split.
your big giant gorillas that we all know about, and then taking care of the heartbeat. Without the
Correct.
heartbeat, we don't run.
Correct.
And that's where you guys focus.
Correct. And one other great thing that we do is we actually, if they're local small consultants that specialize in, you've got some cybersecurity consulting firms and so forth, we involve them, right? We don't try to deliver everything ourselves. We involve them where appropriate. But we're also a trusted advisor that can vet those consultants and those private, firms. So there's about 35% of the services we provide across the country are provided by smaller consultants and smaller groups that are local. So not only are we helping the manufacturers, but we're actually kind of helping a whole nother industry too.
Wow.
By bringing business to them.
Can we do like a whole series, Carrie?
I would love
Can you
it.
and I get together, just create a series, but inside machine shops with somebody you've helped create success
Oh my gosh.
with?
Yes, we have so many stories across the
I
country.
would love that.
And so many stories that are so impactful in individual lives. Like some of my favorite stories is, everybody's experiencing a workforce problem right now, right?
Yep.
The MEP program across the country, they invest in workforce, but not just workforce. We actually are starting some programs within prison systems and training the incarcerated to give them a second chance. And one of my favorite stories is there was a program in Indiana, for example, that went into the prison system. We're training manufacturing skills. That there is a woman that was about to, be released. She hadn't completed her training yet. She delayed her release to finish the program. No kidding. But she got out and she has a second chance. She has a career path, a really good career path that's well paying, that's getting them on a second path of, success in life. So we could do a whole series on a bunch of different things,
Yes,
and I would
please.
love it.
Today's episode is powered by Phillips Haas Training, trusted by over 3,000 machinists, programmers, and engineers who actually know what they're doing. We're talking hands-on CNC training, 100 5-star Google reviews, and a perfect 10 out of 10 rating. Check it out at phillipscorp.com/Tony Gunn. But here's the truth. Downtime is a thief. It steals productivity, profits, and patience. But Phillips Haas Training is the locksmith. Their expert-led, hands-on courses cover alignment, electrical diagnostics, troubleshooting, and programming. You know, the stuff that actually keeps machines running instead of collecting dust. Over 3,000 pros have been through it, dropping 100 five-star reviews and giving it a flawless 10 out of 10. Shops even report up to 50% downtime reduction. That's not even training. That's a license to print money. Learn more at phillipscorp.com/Tony Gunn. Phillips Haas Training. Fewer breakdowns, more breakthroughs, and your machine's running smoother than a Black Sabbath riff. Less downtime, more uptime, more profit.
I'm already giving a sales pitch in the middle of my podcast because I want to make this happen for sure. I'm going to pull on your heartstrings a little bit if it's all right. You've been sharing stories with me all day, but you brought up one just now that's near and dear to my heart. Growing up, I wasn't a good kid. And a lot of my friends got locked up. I was fortunate enough that I never did. A lady named Kathy Walker reached out to me in charge of eCammy out in Kentucky, and they broke ground at the largest prison system in all of Kentucky about a year ago and created a whole robotics and CNC and all that stuff for the incarcerated. I actually interviewed 4 of the ex-inmates that were going through their program for their system at the eCammy system at the school, and we also went and interviewed the governor and all sorts of stuff to create content for that entire situation. I get that there might be some drawbacks to or hesitations to maybe doing some of the hiring. And I also am really grateful when someone gives people like that a second chance. I ride this fence all the time, so I understand everyone on both sides. It's part of being in the job I'm in, right, Carrie?
Right.
So I just wanted to share that little piece with you because thank you for being a part of that also. Kevin mentioned to me that ARMA would not exist without you guys.
That is true.
Can you explain how that is?
So I learned a little bit about that this week, but especially ARMA got started because of the Texas Manufacturing Assistance Center, which is one of our members. They kind of stood up this group and said, hey, we've got to start some of these local associations. And apparently they helped fund the initial beginnings of ARMA. So that's the extent of knowledge I know about the background. But I was just in the conference in the other room and they were giving them all the credit in the world for starting that organization.
He did the same thing just a few minutes ago to me as well. Carrie, I've asked you enough to get me excited. I've already given you my pitch about what you and I are going to do this. Whether it's on Zoom or remotely or in person, we're going to make this happen. We're going to get some of your greatest success stories on camera with you and I or one of your other colleagues. We can have 3-4 people on camera at the same time. We're going to tell these stories. I think it's important. But is there anything that I haven't asked you today that you might be giving in your speech a little bit later or you think is beneficial? And with me not knowing maybe as much as I will know in a year when we're doing this together and these conversations get even better and deeper, is there anything I haven't asked you today that you think is significant for everyone who tunes into this and say, I want to know more about MEP, but Tony was too stupid to ask it?
No, I think it's a great question. And I would say you started it saying you didn't know a year ago. I think some of the struggles we've had in this past year, I want folks to know about because I want them to know not only the struggles this program has had, but also how the manufacturers that listen to your podcast have helped us overcome it. So long story short is, unfortunately, as I mentioned, this program does get partial federal funding. And unfortunately, the current administration has proposed to eliminate it, said it should just be privatized. But as we've talked about, there's no competition out there for it. So because of that, it's been a hard year. We've heard that this program is going to be eliminated. And that's when you got the call from Mike saying, this program's going away. I will tell you that the work that you, Mike, and others have done, and the manufacturers that we've served across this country, they've restored it. And they've communicated to their elected officials enough and shared the stories we're going to showcase in the next year that they put it back. They funded it. And they said, you're not going to shut this program down. This program has impacted the small manufacturers in all aspects of America and every manufacturing industry that there is. And so I would like to say thank you to all the manufacturers, to you, to Mike, to really showcasing this program and to bringing those manufacturers to the forefront, getting them to get involved. And thank you for bringing it back. And with that, we're going to elevate the awareness of the program, continue to grow the impact that it has, and hopefully continue this path of success in the future.
Very well said, and it is an absolute honor. Thank you for the gratitude, not necessary. We needed to do it. If somebody wants to get involved that's watching, listening right now, what's the best way for them to get involved to support this whole program?
Well, hopefully, if you can connect my LinkedIn page, they can contact me via LinkedIn. I can put them in touch with their local MEP program in the state in which they are operating. So if they need those services, then I can put them in connection with the local MEP in their state. And if we welcome everybody to get involved in the advocacy for small manufacturers, and obviously reach out to me to do that, and I'll help plug them in.
But no website, like a main.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's.
But yeah, I'm definitely.
Yeah,
I'm
website.
Good.
Yeah,
we're friends.
Yeah, we're friends. Yes, they can go to my website. It's smallmanufacturers.org.
Perfect.
And hopefully, we'll get them plugged in. They have all of our members are located there, and we'll get them plugged in to help. So yeah, the little things like the digital media I should promote too. So
yeah, why not? We're here.
Right.
That's okay. We kind of got to do some of it.
Yeah, apparently.
Carrie, you're my
you so much,
hero.
Tony.
Thank you for being exactly who you are. For everyone watching, listening, we've heard the mic drop now. We got the .coms taken care of as well. If you want to participate, I highly recommend it. Think about it. Think about the big boys out there, the big girls out there, and think about how many shops are under 500 people and could use this type of advisement in their facility, this type of consulting, even if it comes with a price tag. Like we already said, if you don't pay for it, you're not gonna pay attention anyway. And it's gonna help. Everything like this has a massive ROI. I promise you, that's how it works. That's how technology works. And my job is to travel the world knowing what technology is, and I can't keep up. I know if you're running a machine shop, it's darn near impossible. That's where these folks come into play and make sure you're taken care of. Reach out. We're happy to help. Carrie's happy to help. Her friends are happy to help. That's what it's all for. Thank you all. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on this episode of The Gun Show. Thank you for tuning in, subscribing, and supporting the manufacturing movement that keeps the world turning. We couldn't do this without you, or without our incredible sponsors who believe in this mission as much as we do. Big thanks to Revelation Machinery, bringing the auction hammer down on deals so good it feels like daylight robbery, but legal. Whether you're buying or selling, they've got your back. To Ibera Growth Systems, your factory's secret weapon for scaling up profits, leadership, and sanity. Because spreadsheets don't fix culture, but these guys might. To AMT and IMTS, the innovators behind the biggest show in manufacturing. If you want to see the future, you show up at IMTS. To NTMA, the voice of precision manufacturers across the U.S., fighting for shops like yours every single day. To TECMA, Mexico's premier machine tool exhibition, bridging borders and bringing global technology closer to home. To Shop Floor Coffee, the only coffee that tastes like a 5-axis machine running lights out on a Monday morning, delicious and dedicated to workforce development. And last but never least, the American Precision Museum, honoring the roots of American manufacturing while inspiring the next generation to build what's next. Powered by MTDCNC and fueled by passion, this is The Gun Show. Until next time, stay curious, stay bold, and keep making things that move the world.